Hi, this is Doug Edline for HPC Wire, and we're at the last day of ISC25, which is workshop day basically, and I'm getting ready to attend the TPC workshop. I was there last year. It was pretty full, lots of people, and I'm actually pretty excited about it because in a way, this is where HPC is changing, and this organization is helping to make that change, AI for science, and there's really unique in that mission. So I'm noticing there's luminaries milling around here. I'm going to try and talk to a few of them before the meeting starts. I managed to find Charlie Catlett, who is the executive director of the TPC. And I have one quick question. So Charlie, how did this actually get started?
Well, you know, the TPC community kind of grew out of a set of national workshops that the Department of Energy laboratories conducted during 2019 with maybe 1,500 people involved, and then wrote a report, and then again brought people together in workshops around the U.S. in 2022, and then report in 2023. So following that building of a community, it made sense to us to create something more persistent. And so in 2023, we called that community back together, and several hundred people came together at Argonne National Laboratory, and we said, let's figure out what would be a structure and a set of focus areas for a consortium. And so we kind of grew out of that. So we're just almost at our 2-year point.
Thanks. And, you know, I was talking to somebody just the other day, and they had not heard of TPC, and I showed them the little sign we had in the booth, and they looked at it and they go, oh, we should be involved in this, because they were using AI in their research. And I'm wondering if you've run into those cases where people are going like, this is what I need for science, somebody who's focusing on science, not, you know, ChatGPT or something like that.
Yeah, we run into folks that are traditionally maybe doing HPC, but are now saying, well, we've got to integrate AI into what we're doing. We see what other people are doing. And then there are also science groups that don't come from the HPC environment that are coming out and saying, here's what we're doing with AI. So, you know, there is a fairly heavy HPC presence in TPC, but it's really not the majority at this point. There's a much broader community that's involved.
I wanted to ask, you know, TPC has been up for a few years. You've done workshops and hackathons and things of that nature locally. So how is TPC25 going to be different in that respect?
Yeah, we have had 3 major hackathons around the world. We've had conferences of various size and workshops. TPC25 is really the first time we're bringing sort of not just everybody together, but also just all aspects of what we do in the TPC. So it'll be 4 days. The first day and a half is aimed at helping people who are maybe just getting started at trying to figure out, how do I use AI in my science? Because we've got parallel tutorials. One that's on AI for science at the day and a half. There's another full day tutorial on evaluation of models. And then while those tutorials are happening, there's a hands-on open hackathon for a day and a half where we've been inviting experts to help others, and we've been inviting non-experts and assuring them that experts will be there. They will learn hands-on how to build an agentic system for science. So that starts the week, just these tutorials and hackathons for people to take advantage of coming and having the resources to learn. We then move into a standard sort of conference plenary, keynotes and invited speakers on key topics that we're all grappling with. The sort of reinvention of HPC with this new set of workloads for AI inference and training, the gigawatt data centers that are having to be built in industry, and we expect in academia as well. And then sort of the heart of TPC are working groups coming together to bring updates on what they're doing, and then based on those have discussions to try to find collaborations. It's the kind of event that you can be at your first time you've ever contemplated AI for science, or you might be an expert, and you'll find something that will make it worth your while. So
That's key, and I think we kind of miss that message sometimes is you don't need to be an expert to go to this event. As a matter of fact, if you don't know anything about AI for science, this is where you want to be. You're collecting the experts, putting on events and hackathons and working groups. I think that's really key. You don't need to be, ready to release your model and your paper. You want to go here and learn, and more importantly, in my mind, build relationships with the people in the community.
Yeah, we see TPC as just, in fact, one of our goals. So we have 3 goals, right? So one is to build a community. Another is to use that building of community to find opportunities for collaboration that are international, multi-institutional, that will help us accelerate what we're doing, whoever we are, all of us. And then the third is to grow that community, which means we've got to reach out and make an event like TPC25 be an easy on-ramp into AI for science for anybody that's interested in moving in that direction, which it seems like everyone is.
Yeah, I'm getting that. So thanks. We're going to let Charlie go because he's got to run the workshop in a few minutes here. So thanks a lot, Charlie.
Thanks, Doug. Nice to see you.
So I found Fabrizio, and we're going to ask him a few questions about TPC. First is, so what's your perspective on the TPC from the European side?
Well, it is definitely extremely important for us because, like everybody else in science, we're moving aggressively towards using artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence, for most of our scientific work. Clearly, there is a lot of off-the-shelf solution that we can buy, download from the internet, but we are very worried because the data that we produce, we won't somehow understand how to treat it ourselves, keep up ownership, basically develop AI solution for science developed by scientists, which maybe is going to happen anyway, but I think if we have this kind of international bottom-up initiative like the Trillion Parameter Consortium, and in particular if Europe step in to make an important contribution, I think we have better chance to have something that's really good for science.
Thanks. And you brought up a good point about open data, which is any other effort I've seen around AI hasn't really talked about that. And I think the TPC is leading with openness, and the ability to track data that's used for the models is really key.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is the famous thing, everything which is machine learning is as good as the quality of the data you enter the system. If you train with poor data, you will not have good result. So that is very important. We control the quality of the data, and one way to control the quality of the data is to keep it open and make it available, to the entire scientific community. Now, it's so important for Europe and that is, is a very, very, off the press news. Last week, so on June the 4th, we submitted a proposal, a request for funding to the European Union to create what we call Euro TPC. So basically to sustain a stronger participation of European scientists within the International Trillion Parameter Consortium.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. So learned something today. And well, thanks for coming, and enjoy the workshop.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Doug Edline, and I'm here with Doug Norton. So we have 2 Dougs. This is a rare event. So, and Doug is the head of the HPC AI Society, and he's here at the TPC workshop. So I'm going to get his perspective on this whole TPC idea and what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's great, and the society, we're a nonprofit vendor-neutral organization, right? So we're very focused on connecting industry, academia, government together, and work. There's a workforce development thing there too, because we all know people are aging out, and we need new people in and all that. So I think the TPC is great because again, it was kind of started as a grassroots organization, no vendors, right? And it's all about practitioners and people, furthering science and AI. And so we're very supportive of it. It lines up.
Yeah, it has, to me, it also has a little feel of, when Linux was getting started. It was kind of this grassroots thing. People looked at you a little funny. You were in the corners of halls and meeting rooms talking about stuff. And then eventually you have workshops, and then the next thing you know, you're running HPC.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It feels very much like that, and more people are signing on. I think the word's starting to get out. It is getting bigger. I was talking to David earlier of Argonne, and they were talking about we need to grow it. And originally it was like no tourists. I was like, no, now we need more people. We need everybody to kind of get involved and drive this for the good of science.
Yeah, and it really is. The mission is unique. It's AI for science, and my statement I've said over maybe 20 times this week is we have different needs than your enterprise AI. So it's very different, very important. Openness is big, and there's nobody else looking out for that. So we're going to go into the meeting pretty soon and learn more about what's going on. And then let's not forget that at the end of July, the TPC25 event in San Jose. And that's where you get to come and talk to a lot of amazing people and learn really what's going on in this area. So thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
I'm talking with Tom Tabor, founder of HPC Wire, about the feel of the TPC organization and the movement. So what we were talking about this the other week. Can you share some of the thoughts you had?
Oh, absolutely. This is very, very exciting, and it reminds me of SC1 and that era when the SC community pulled together to advocate and promote all the technologies that are involved in SC. This TPC, the Trillion Parameter Consortium initiative, was a peer-to-peer grassroots effort to bring the community together to focus exclusively on AI for science. This really feels like SC1 to me. Part of what the draw for SC1 was Seymour Cray was the keynote. In this case, we're going to have Rick Stevens as a keynote. We have Satoshi Matsuoka from Riken as a keynote. We have Matteo Valero as a keynote from Barcelona Supercomputing Center, and many other luminaries that represent the global community of scientists focused on AI for scientific and engineering applications and workloads.
Yeah, and I've been following this now for several years, and it really, at the end of July, the TPC25 is where we're all going to come together in one place in San Jose.
Well done, Doug. Yes, absolutely. We'll be at the Doubletree Hotel in San Jose, July 28th through 31st. There'll be 4 days of the event. The first 2 days will be hackathon and tutorials, and then the second 2 days will be plenary with breakouts. We expect anywhere between 350 and 500 people. We're thankful for the sponsors that are a part of this, with AWS as a foundation sponsor, Quantinium and Intel as platinum sponsors. So yes, come play with us. We're going to have a great time and do some great science with bleeding edge and leading edge scientists who are focused on AI for science and engineering.
Yeah, that's great. And I look at it as this is the ground floor. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. So we're finished up here, and actually this is the end of my ISC 2025, and it hit on a high note, the TPC workshop, and learned a lot, got great conversations with legendary HPC people who admittedly are now looking at AI. So this is actually kind of important. The legacy HPC users are really behind the TPC and TPC25. So this is a sea change in HPC that we're covering at HPC Wire, and we're going to continue to provide coverage throughout the year.